Welcome back to the Hermitcraft ModSauce server. When last you saw, I was having a problem with the smeltery, and thanks to several of your comments and me actually waking up and figuring things out right, I've got it figured out. One thing that I didn't know was that in the smeltery tank here, whatever item you click on goes to the bottom and becomes the current thing being poured. I didn't know that. That was new. But glad it's actually doing that. Okay. And so that way you can keep multiple things in the smeltery tank and just use whichever one of them you need. Great. Now, since then, I had made up at the time a hammer using alamite and so on. I decided I was going to go into the Nether and use that to see if I could come up with some cobalt and ardite and maybe some of those bone structures that are growing in the Nether and so on. And I had a heck of a time. In fact, I can show you a little bit of a record of it right here with the quest book. If we look at the quest book, after we get done being awed by the awesome starter page here, click here, lives. I have currently died 16 times. I have died once by fire, once by starvation on the very first night, 5 times from monsters, 3 times from explosions, 6 times from falls. Please note that those falls were caused by goofy things in the Nether that would explode, and all of a sudden I'd find myself up in the air somewhere, almost like I was glitching into a block or something, or suffocating, and blam. It goes away, I fall, splat. And so I now lead the server in the number of deaths. And if we scroll down here, we see that False Symmetry, Azuma, Biffa, Monkey Farm, and Lone Wolf have not died at all. Hypno has only died once. Mumbo, Justra, Maryland, Zombie Clue have died twice. Jassassin 3 times. Ijevan 6, Slipgator 6, Pungent 6, Spumwhack 7, Schism 7, Ijevan 9, Izuma 10, DMAC 11, Topmash 13, Zuljan 14, and of course I'm in the lead with 16, if you can call that being in the lead. So, after having that really bad time in the Nether, and I wasn't recording at the time, and it's probably a good thing that I wasn't, all things considered. Anyway, after that, DMAC gave me some help, and at the very least got me out of there, because I was having some problems, really bad ones. And he came along, he helped me out, and he gave me this pickaxe. And you'll note that if I hit shift on it, it's got 5 modifiers remaining. It's a steel pickaxe head with a paper binding and a paper handle. So it doesn't start out with a whole lot of durability, but that is going to change. It's got a mining speed of 8, mining level of cobalt, which is what I needed for that particular thing. And I'm going to put a bunch of modifiers on it right now. I've actually planned this out. And we'll start out with putting a diamond on it. That gives it an additional 500 durability. And then we'll take an emerald and put that on there, and that will double the durability. Okay, and now I'm going to put Ball of Moss on there 3 times, because apparently you can do it 3 times. Moss 3 increases to regenerate the repair rate. It doesn't say what the repair rate is, but it makes it a lot easier to deal with. Okay, so that's used up all the modifiers. So take a diamond and a golden block. Bang. Now we have another modifier, and for that I'm going to use lapis. And let's see, I'm not necessarily going to put a whole bunch of lapis on here right now, because I don't, well, what you see here, that's what I've got left, aside from a little bit that I held aside for dyes. All right. I'll put a few more on here, knowing that I can always come back here and add more later. That'll be enough. All right, and then later on, there is still a way to add yet one more modifier to this thing, and I probably will. Okay, anyway, another thing I figured out, actually DMAC told me about this because I wasn't aware of it, that if you take, all right, let me get a few ingots of iron. All right, 2 is enough to show this. I can do it right here. Iron, like so, makes chain. And the chain, I've got a little bit more over here. The chain is really cool because you take the chain and use it just like you'd make armor, and you get chain armor. In this case, chain boots. And if I take the chain and throw it in there, it will smelt up and appear in here as steel, which I can then use to repair this pickaxe because the repair material is steel. And it makes it relatively cheap to repair. So that's cool. Very cool. Now the main thing though is the big thing. And this is potentially huge. As you well know, I have had issues with sound and problems with sound for a long time. Well, after talking with DMAC for a while, I have done a couple of things that have, I think, improved sound quality quite a bit. Number one, the first thing I did, and this was totally counterintuitive to me, was I turned my mic gain down. It was at 100%. I turned it down to 60%. And the idea there is that the gain is not now amplifying the noise in addition to everything else. And then beyond that, I had been using Audacity to try to filter out noise for a long time. But I recently got a new version of Audacity. Well, new to me, 2.0 something or other, when I had been using 1.2.6, I think it was, for ages and ages. And I got that new version specifically because of a plugin, a noise gate plugin, that allows me to actually have it suppress the noise below a certain threshold. And then with that combine that with using the noise removal tool, I do believe that my audio is going to be sounding a lot better, and I have DMAC to thank for that. Definitely. Anyway, what I'm going to be doing now, put that away. What I want to do at the moment, and yes, in the process of doing all that, I finally did get jetpack made. Standard Industrial Craft 2 jetpack. I got a couple of them made. And that's an okay flight for the time being, but I want to get going with the creative style flight made possible by Advanced Genetics. So I'm going to be getting going with that soon too. But initially, what I want to start out with is to get going with building a house here in Spawn Town. I don't even know what we're calling this place just yet, but I want to get some kind of an actual spawn house built. And I'm thinking right along in here, if I cleared this area out and get something started here, then I think I can come up with something pretty reasonably cool, and then I can start moving all that junk out of that place over there into a new place here, and having it organized as I do it, so I don't have the rolling and screaming blankety blank something or other that I've got now. So I'm going to get started on that, and I'll check in after a bit when I've got something going. All right, I have been busy for quite a little while here, and I've got started on a nice, decent looking kind of house-like sort of thing. And here we are. I've got the inner rooms laid out. This one is going to be where the smeltery is going to be, and all of the assorted stuff and things and whatnots to go with it. This may be a small bedroom or something. I don't know if I may repurpose that to something else. And we've got a couple of decent sized rooms here. One of them is going to be where all of the AE system controls and whatnot come together. I think the Mac will be hidden underground whenever I get around to it. But all the interfaces and whatnot, the main control, if you will be in one of these rooms. And I may set one of them up for a Thaumcraft room. I don't know. Or maybe perhaps a genetics lab might be an idea. Or then there's blood magic and so on. I've been wanting to check those out. Now, I've been using these carpenter's blocks to set up the roof of the place. And basically, they've got them in these wedge shapes and stair shapes and, of course, regular squares and so on. And the way it works is that you hit the thing, you hit it with some block, say this blue colored stone brick. Okay. But it takes on the colored stone brick appearance. And it looks and acts just like a solid block, even though it's actually not solid. And actually you can break it with just about anything. Okay, I was wrong about that. But okay, let me go ahead and put those back. But it allows you to set something up with all these angles and slopes and whatnot on it. I'm thinking have this bit of roof come out over the entryway, and then some sloped roofing going up here, another short little slope, and I'm thinking around in here, somewhere like this, and in a similar place on the other side, maybe in the center. Basically have an upstairs room or 3 up here as well that would have windows looking out over here on the lake and onto Spawn Town. So I'm thinking that that's the kind of thing I want to do. I've been using the clear glass from Tinker's, although I've noticed that there seems to be this weird thing where there's a seam all the way over here and over there, even though normally there isn't a seam with the Tinker's glass. At least there never used to be. Anyway, that's what this is starting to shape up to be. And of course, this stuff that shows up on the surface is really only just the tip of the iceberg, because most of the facility will be underground. That's just the only way that's going to make it all fit and still have the place on the surface look good. I've got to decide what I want to use for that and for the roof up there and so on. The white stone brick obviously is not going to cut it. So I'm going to work on figuring what that's going to be. In the meantime, we still have most everything over there at the hole in the wall. And I'm going to head over there and we're going to get set up to do something about fixing this flight situation. All right, it has been a little while. One of the things I needed to do is I had to make up this scraper and go out and get skin cells. And since flight is something I wanted, then obviously I needed to get skin cells of a bat, because that's pretty much not exactly a secret. And so I went out and I got some. I hunted and I hunted. I must have hunted for an hour and a half through a bunch of caves, mine shafts, everything, until finally I found one bat, and I got 5 scrapings off of him. And this is the last one. I'm going to go ahead and run it through the process. You start out, skin scales into the DNA analyzer. Now, I know this is not a really proper, efficient way to set this up. I've got one generator powering all 4 of these machines, but they're only running one at a time the way I'm doing it right now, so that's fine. Okay, we got the DNA analyzer, and it's going to give me some organic drops and a cell. And I believe these things can be accelerated, sped up to make it go faster. Okay, we have a cell of a bat and another organic drop. The organic drops stack, the cells don't. Just like the skin scales don't stack, and the DNA helixes don't stack. Okay, so we get the helix. It is encrypted, so we go to the decryptor, the front of which kind of reminds me of the Matrix, and we get a decrypted gene. Hopefully it's a useful one. Probably it will be a basic gene. Basic gene. So, basic genes I'm putting over here in this chest. And one time I did get night vision off of one of the bat cells. And that's it. Right now, I'm mostly running skin scales of a sheep through this thing, because in the making of these things, alright, the analyzer needs iron around this little magnifier, which you can barely see in here. It's a stone stick and a piece of glass. But the extractor requires this book, Basic DNA Dictionary. To get that, you take skin cells and put them around a book. And you need that book for the DNA extractor, for the decryptor, the splitter, the breeder, the combiner, the remover, the transmutator. The auto splitter doesn't need that. And the insulator needs a different book, which is the first book with 4 more cells. Yeah. So I'm going to be burning through a lot of sheep cells just to get enough cells to make all of the books necessary. I do consider it a victory that I did get one useful gene out of everything so far. And as I get more of these machines made up and get my process fine-tuned a little bit, and I'm not even going to worry about trying to automate things, anything like that right now. Right now, I'm just focused mainly on getting flight. Of course, that's going to mean going hunting for more bats with the scraper. Yeah. Of course, there are some other things I could get scrapings of, like, for example, the next zombie that comes by, or if I'm really feeling daring, a creeper or a skeleton or anything like that. Cows, even. They all have some useful feature or another that can be, well, at least most of them do, I suppose. Okay, that's all the cells I got. I'm keeping bat stuff in there just simply to keep it organized. Okay. Organic drops go there. And cells, let's see. I've got another chest. Right here. Alright, we'll just put these cell of a sheep in there. Now, so my next job is to go out, get a whole bunch more sheep cell scrapings, which is why I've got my inventory should be empty. I need to put those 2 bits of iron away, because each one of those I can carry is better. Okay, now I can carry 27, 28,
29, 30 of them. All right, so I'm going to go over here, get a bunch more sheep cell scrapings, maybe a cow scraping or two, and then continue this process until I at least have enough cells to make all of the machines. And along the way, I'm also going to head out hunting for caves, which seem to be remarkably difficult to find. And see if I can find some more bats. And yes, I know I could probably ask DMAC for a starter shot and use that to get myself going, but I kind of want to do the whole thing myself, just at least this first time, just to give myself a good grounding on how the whole thing works and how to do it, make sure I've got it all right. There's nothing that quite assures you of doing it right like actually doing it. Okay, that's a full load of cells. Some of them are cows, some of them are sheep. And I'm going to go back here, do the processing game again, and then once I've got all the machines built, go hunting for bats again. I have to remember chickens. I read somewhere that chickens are good for feather falling. That's another one to get a lot of. It probably will be a darn sight easier than coming up with bats. So that's what I'm going to be going and doing for the next, I have no idea how long, because this strikes me as being very powerful, but they do make up for it by making it a little bit grindy. Not bad, horrible grindy, but you got to process everything through a whole chain of like 8 or 10 machines before you get results. Still, not bad. Meanwhile, I'm going to get doing this and working on the house.